morning, welcome back to the space between where solutions always have room to grow. I am your humble host, Sean McClellan. Would you guys do me a favor? Get on over to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a rating for the show, subscribe so amazing people like yourself can find the show faster. That's what I'm looking for, so people can find the show, get inspired, get encouraged to recognize time's running out. And so is your dream if you don't start moving in that direction. I'll talk to you guys today about a conversation I had with a friend of mine, Chef Mike. And this man's lucky to be alive, guys. He was telling me, showing me some scars. He was, he had a chainsaw and was kind of cutting down some trees in his yard. And he had some headgear on. He had some sort of shield that kind of covered his neck and his face. And the chainsaw kicked back, hit the shield in the face, and then the chainsaw, still running, kind of ran down the side of his neck. Luckily for him, he was protected, because if not, that would have been a major artery, and the chainsaw continued to go down his arm, and he's lucky to be alive. I talked to him for a little bit, and he's like, man, I almost died, Sean. He goes, man, my whole perspective on life has completely changed. He's got 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. And I'm like, dude, I receive all that, man. I receive all that. Life is fragile. The fragility of life is a real thing. It's but a breath. One breath we're here, one breath we're not. And we don't think about that on a daily basis. But a question, like I asked him, I'm like, I'm glad you're alive. But I asked him, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, like, why do we have to wait until something tragic happens to wake us up? Why do we have to wait? As human beings, why can't we just recognize how special our life is, how much of a miracle and a blessing it is we have this life as a human being, to have these experiences, to have these emotional experiences, connections, relationships, feelings. Like, it's special. Why do we have to wait until something bad happens to make us realize that? I don't know. Something going on with that, though, for sure, because, I'm not exempt from that. It took me making a mess of my life to kind of come back to God and to realize that, I've been walking away from Him and not being the person He created me to be, like, and all that stuff. Like, why do we have to continually wait on tragedy to happen to wake up, to do the right thing, to be the best person we can be, to realize that we only got one shot? We only got one shot to go around. Why are we continually wasting it on things that don't serve us, don't serve people around us, don't serve in alignment with who we are, who we're created to be? Why do we continually go somewhere that we don't want to be at, just in order to survive, to pay bills, to make a living? Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to create a life, because life is what it's all about. We all got to make money. We all got to pay bills. We all got all this stuff to do. There's 100 different ways, probably thousands, that you can get online, start doing some research, figuring out how to earn income online. How much money are you making? I don't know. Say you're making $50,000 a year. Okay, listen. That's a medium wage. How much would you need to make on a daily basis from home to make that income? And if you got insurance, add another 15 to 20% on top of that. How much money would you need to make per day from home online to get out of your job, to leave your job, to get out and be free? That's the question you got to start asking yourself. That's the thing you need to start focusing on. Thousands of ways to do it, guys. Amazon, FBA. You want to launch a podcast? Start coaching people, showing them how to do it, launch your own message? Linkwithsean.com. We can have a conversation. There's another way. Join a mastermind group. Create a mastermind group. That's another way. Sell your coaching. Sell your skills. Sell your intellectual property to somebody who needs it. Because you have a gift. You have a God-given gift that He gave you. And why aren't you using it to help other people? He will allow room for your gift to grow if you decide to use it. Step into that person that He created you to be, and get moving. Time's running out. Don't wait on tragedy to strike before you change your mind about life, how fragile it is, and what are you doing with your time? Since it's so fragile, since it's so precious, what are you doing with your time? When you're ready to work one-on-one or join my mastermind and save some time in launching your podcast. Save some time in getting your message out to the world. Save some time with inspiring people. Save some time with encouraging people to get after their dream. linkwithsean.com. Let's have a conversation. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to talk about your dream. I'd love to meet you as well, because if you got a big dream, I want to hear about it. I want to encourage you to get after it. Because why? Because you're not going to be satisfied working for somebody else's dream the rest of your life. You know, most people go to a job for 30 years, doing the same thing every single day. God, that sounds horrible. That sounds horrible. And here's, the thing about jobs, the thing about jobs is you're forced to be around people that you wouldn't necessarily really even associate with outside of that job. And the old adage, you are the sum total of the 5 people that you're around the most. What if you're around a bunch of negative know-it-alls going nowhere at your job for 40 hours a week? How do you think that's going to impact your mindset? How do you think that's going to impact your bank account? How do you think that's going to impact your mood? How do you think that's going to impact your relationship with other people? Because you're forced to be around other people that you would never associate with in your life on the planet. You got to get out, dude. You got to find a way. Get serious about finding a way out of being miserable, okay? I'm here to help you. linkwithsean.com. Let's have a conversation. All right? There's a way out. I want to show you the way. I want to help you create a space between where you are and where you want to go. It's that simple. A to B. A to B. There's a space between there. I want to help you get there. All right? I really hope that message hit you today about the fragility of life and why it takes a tragedy to wake us the F up. All right? Would you guys do me a favor? Get on over to iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a rating for the show. Subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. I would greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on The Space Between. And just like that, another void has been filled in the space between. Hey, listen, you're obviously a podcast listener. You're listening to this podcast, which I appreciate you. Have you ever thought about launching your own? Are you somebody who feels like, I've got a message, but I'm not quite clear what it is or who would ever want to hear it? Let's do this. Let's have a conversation. I'll kind of take you behind the scenes of the Space Between podcast, show you how I do it, and worst case scenario, you'll have 3 really simple steps that you can use right now to understand what your message is and how to get it out there. Go to linkwithsean.com, SEAN, linkwithsean.com, book a call, pick a time that works for you, and let's have a conversation about you and your message, all right? We'll see you on the call.